Hey guys, ChrisFix here, and today I'm going to show you how to remove spray paint from your car. And as you can see here, this car is the perfect candidate to teach you this because, well, it's been vandalized. Somebody got a can of spray paint, they held it down, and they walked around the entire car. Every single body panel on this car has been spray painted, and in some spots they got it on there really thick. That's not going to be easy to remove, but don't worry. I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks on how to remove spray paint like this from the painted surface of your car, from the chrome surface, from the plastic surface. We got it everywhere on this. If we walk over here, you can see they got it on the headlights, so you're going to learn how to remove it from headlights, from the tail lights, from the glass. Every single surface of this car has been spray painted, and by the time we're done with this car, you're not even gonna know it was spray painted and vandalized. So that's the whole idea. But maybe your car wasn't vandalized. Maybe you just drove over some wet paint lines on the road and didn't realize and got paint on the side of the car. Maybe your neighbor or you were spray painting something and the wind was blowing and you got overspray on your car and it peppered it like that. Whatever the reason you got paint on your car, I'm gonna show you how to remove it without damaging the good paint underneath. That way you don't have to worry about it. It's gonna be a stress-free experience. You got a little paint on there, no worries at all. Now, unfortunately, in this case, spray paint isn't the only way this person vandalized this car. If we come over here, you can see the fuel door does not lock. And as you can imagine, take a look in here, you can see there is sugar in the hose that goes to the fuel tank. So this is gonna have to get covered in another video, how to fix a car that's been vandalized with sugar in the fuel tank. I'll show you how to drop the tank, the fuel filter, the fuel pump, all that stuff, the fuel lines, clean out the injectors. That way there's no sugar at all in the tank. And then another way they vandalized this car, unfortunately, the interior is messed up too, and they just pretty much covered it entirely in mud. Look at this. It is a mess in here. But that gives us another opportunity. Let me show you the front real quick because the front is also a mess. And the opportunity it gives us is how to super clean the interior. And this car is not only dirty, but it is messy. We have candies that have melted inside of here. We have that loose change that's gummy because of all the sugar and stuff that melted on it. It's just disgusting. I'm glad I have gloves on. But we want to get this interior in tip-top shape so that people would actually want to drive this car. Now, you're probably asking yourself, Chris, why would you buy a car this messed up, that's been vandalized like this? Well, let me show you. So this car is a 2016 Chrysler 200 with 50,000 miles, private party value between $10,000 and $12,000, trade-in value between $8,000 and $9,000. And what I paid isn't even close to that. Let me show you. So I found this car on the eBay Motors app because eBay themselves challenged me to find a car on their app, to fix it, and then flip it, sell it on their app for a profit. Now I added my own rules. It has to be an affordable car, wait till you see the price of this thing, and it has to be a healthy profit. Not a couple $100, it has to be sold for at least $1,000 profit. So let me show you the listing on their app, and there are so many good cars on here, and this is the one that I ended up finding. So the first thing I did was went down to the description and checked out what he wrote. He said it's a salvage title and it was totaled due to the vandalism. Now I wanted to learn more, so eBay now has an awesome feature where you could actually chat with the seller. I asked him if anything else was wrong with the car besides the spray paint, and he said no, it runs and drives fine. And I also asked if the salvage title was just from the spray paint, and he said he doesn't know of any accidents it was in. It just seems like it's been painted and that's why they totaled it. Now on normal cars that aren't salvage, eBay has a vehicle protection plan that protects your car up to $100,000, so you don't have to worry about getting the wrong car, not getting a title, stuff like that. Unfortunately, because this car is salvage, it doesn't have that protection program, but that's also why we're going to try to get it for so cheap. So the auction ended and it didn't hit his $5,000 reserve, so I made him a $4,000 offer. We negotiated back and forth, and well, the rest is history. He accepted that offer. So that is how I got this car for $4,000. 1/3 of what it's worth when we fix it up. I can't wait to fix it up. Thank you very much, eBay Motors, for this challenge and for supporting the video. Also, once we're done fixing this up, I'm gonna put this car for sale on eBay Motors, and whatever it sells for, I'm donating that entire thing to charity. And eBay Motors said they'd match that up to $5,000. So we're gonna raise a ton of money for charity, teach you how to fix the car. I will link this app in the description so you can easily find it. It helps me out if you guys download it. It's free. Consider downloading it. And with that, let me show you guys how to remove the spray paint from your car. Here are all the tools and products that you need to get this job done. Nothing crazy here, all common stuff that you might have at home. If you don't, you could easily find it. I'll link it all in the description. We're working with simple things. So we have two methods. We have the mechanical method, which is all this stuff right here, and then we have the solvent method, which is this right here. Now with the mechanical method, that's anything where you actually have to scrub onto the paint. You're mechanically removing that spray paint. So that's car soap, that's clay bar, that's a polish and a wax, that's a headlight restoration kit, anything like that. But we're not gonna start with that. We wanna start with something less aggressive. Hopefully this works, and that is the solvent method. We have a light solvent, isopropyl alcohol, very unlikely to damage the paint. I'll show you all the methods on how to do that so you don't damage your paint. And if that doesn't work, we'll move up to something more aggressive, but still pretty safe. Paint thinner. Hopefully that works. The paint has been on there for a couple months. It's not fresh. Typically, this works better when the paint is fresh, but either way, we will get that paint removed. And the first step is to grab your microfiber towel, get your hose or your pressure washer, and let's clean up this car. Actually, the first thing we want to do is remove this leather hood cover because, well, I don't know why people put these on their cars. They don't look that great, and it does more harm than good, so let's remove this. And to do that, just remove these clips that hold it to the hood. And that's gonna allow us to pull the cover off like so. And it looks like our car's name is Susan. Normally I don't name cars, but has it right there, so it must be. And this is why I dislike these car covers, because it's so dirty and you can't clean under. Eventually this would turn to rust and that wouldn't be good. All right, and now we can move to the actual step one, which is to clean the paintwork up. All this dirt and dust and debris that is on here, the mud that's on here, we don't want to rub that into the paintwork when we're trying to clean off our spray paint, because that'll just cause scratches. We want to try to get this as clean as possible, minus the spray paint, and work from there. So to do that, we're going to be using a pressure washer. You could just use a hose and some soapy water, but I'm going to be using a pressure washer. You don't want to go much more than 2300 PSI. Any more than that, you could damage the paint. And if you do have a pressure washer that's more than that, just stand back a little bit further and don't use a narrow nozzle. Use something that's more spread out. In this case, I'm using a 25-degree nozzle, and you can see how it removes a lot of the dirt on the surface of the paint easily without having to rub it with a towel. All right, now I'm super excited to show you guys this. You see this right here? Look at it compared to that. Yes, it's coming off with the power washer. Check this out. So I'm making sure the pressure washer isn't damaging the good paint since the nozzle is pretty close, but as you can see, the spray paint is coming off, which is a good sign. But right now, we don't want to focus on removing the paint. The first step is to clean the car off, so we want to remove all the dirt sitting on the surface of the paint so we don't rub it in and cause damage. So once the car is hosed off, next we want to give Susan a bubble bath. If you don't have a foam cannon, you could use a bucket of soapy water. That works just fine, but I love using foam cannons because it really covers the entire car with a nice thick layer of soap to get the car extra clean. Now, as we let that sit for a minute, I want to show you guys the microfiber towels that I'm going to be using. So this is a regular microfiber towel. You could use this to wash the car off, but I prefer a wash mitt when washing the car off, especially if it's a dirty car, because see all these little fingers the wash mitt has? The dirt is going to get stuck deep in the fingers. That's the whole design. That way, while you're cleaning the surface of the car, you're not rubbing the dirt into the paint, causing scratches. Compare that to a normal microfiber cloth like this without the fingers. So any dirt that gets pulled off the car is going to stay on the surface of the towel, and you're a lot more likely to push that dirt into the paint, which will scratch it. So I definitely recommend using a microfiber wash mitt to prevent scratches. So now let's agitate and clean the dirt off the paintwork like so. And just to give you an idea, look at all the dirt we removed from the surface of this car. All of that would have been rubbed into the paint, and that's exactly why the first thing you do is clean the car off. Okay, and finally we want to give the car one last rinse to remove any soap and any loose dirt. And check out how nice this paint shines up with just a little bit of a wash. I know, we have our old spray paint on here still. Don't worry, we're gonna remove that. But more importantly, the paint underneath looks amazing. I know it's a newer car, but still, I was nervous that the paint might be messed up underneath, and it isn't. So now let's go and try to remove this spray paint. And we're gonna start with the first method, the solvent method. It's the least aggressive, and especially if you have newer spray paint, it should work. I don't know if it's gonna work on this older spray paint that's been sitting for a while, but we'll give it a try. So with the solvent method, we're using something like isopropyl alcohol or paint thinner to dissolve the paint. The solvent actually goes on here and breaks down the paint, almost like sugar dissolves in water, except in this case, we're trying to dissolve this spray paint. There's a bunch of good solvents out there. I don't recommend using acetone. It is pretty good, but the problem is it's almost too good. It's very strong. If it drips down anywhere, if it drips onto plastic or onto your headlights, you will will ruin it, so it's not worth using this. We always want to start with the least aggressive, so that's isopropyl alcohol, and always put it on the towel. Never put it directly on the paint. If you put it directly on the paint, it'll streak down and you could damage the good paint underneath. So then what you do is you just lightly rub it in, and you want the spray paint to absorb the solvent like that. So this is definitely absorbing the solvent, and as I rub, you can see there is a very light tint of brown coming off onto the towel, so it is dissolving it, but so slowly it's not worth the effort. So now let's move up to the more aggressive paint thinner. And before you go and put this on your paint, let's go test this out in an inconspicuous area so we know if the paint turns yellow, we can't be using this. And a good spot to test that out would be somewhere down low where you can't normally see it easily. Like this paint right here would be perfect. So let's clean off this inconspicuous spot just like if we were gonna remove spray paint. So rub it back and forth, working the paint thinner into the factory white paint. We just want to make sure there are no negative effects from the solvent on the paintwork. It would be a shame if we stained the paint yellow or some of the clear coat dissolved or even the white base coat comes off, and then that happens where it's really visible, like on a door panel. So you can see we actually cleaned off some of that tar from the road, and as we let this dry, I do not see any negative effects. We could wait a few more minutes, but it looks like we're good to go. Alright, now that we know the paint thinner won't damage the paint, let's get it on the towel. Just wipe it onto the spray paint, let it soak it up, and just keep rubbing back and forth with some light pressure. Your pressure isn't what's going to remove the paint, it's the solvent dissolving the paint. And check this out, this is actually working decent. You can see the towel getting all brown, and this spray paint is getting removed. That's not bad at all. Alright, so that actually worked pretty good. The paint thinner got all that removed. It did take a lot of rubbing and a lot of time, and that's just a little section right there. We have to do an entire car. So I'm going to see if we could speed this process up using the pressure washer. So I'm going to be using the more narrow 15-degree adapter. Now when using the pressure washer, it's important we pay attention to the good paint and make sure we aren't removing it by mistake. So far this seems fine. It's a 15-degree spray pattern, which is more spread out compared to just a narrow jet pattern, but I still want to make sure we don't damage the good paint underneath or all of this is for nothing. And it's just so satisfying to see that paint get removed as we hit it with the pressure washer. And not bad, we did that whole section in about a minute compared to that little section over there which took forever with just the solvent. So the pressure washer worked really well to get the old spray paint off, but if you look closely you can still see there is paint still on here and we're going to have to remove that. And to remove that we're going to use a simple clay bar kit like this. So grab a piece of clay that comes with the kit and just break it off like that. That's all you need. Then you could grab the supplied detailer. You're just gonna spray it on there, saturate it. This is gonna act as your lubricant so you don't scratch the paint surface. Flatten out your clay bar like that, and then all you do is rub with moderate pressure, not too hard, not too light. Go up and down and back and forth. And basically what this is doing is it's just pulling dirt and contaminants out of the clear coat. So that top layer that we couldn't get with that power washer, it's removing, but it's also not damaging the paint, which is important. And after your clay bar gets used like that, you can see it collects all the dirt and contaminants in here. You don't want to keep rubbing it in because it could cause scratches. So what you do is you just flip it over. We're going to hit this with some more spray and we're going to continue. And we're just going to do this until all those specks are removed. And then when your other side is dirty as well, what you do is you just knead the clay. So you knead it like you would knead dough, and that'll bring up a nice clean surface like that. So finish up claying the area that you're working on so all the paint specks are gone. Then we'll wipe this down to get a good idea of what we did, and look at that, that looks so good. It feels nice and smooth, which is typical of clay bar, but more importantly, all those speckled pieces of paint are gone. Also, if you take a look, all the yellowing that was in here is completely gone. Our clay bar removed that yellowing contaminant from the surface of that clear coat. It wasn't embedded too deep. So that is how easy it is to remove all that contamination with the clay bar. And look at that difference. This is right where we just clay barred. It looks really good, nice and clean compared to what we need to do next, which is this spot right here. So again, make sure you use the detailing spray as lubricant and then just glide the flattened clay across the paint surface in different directions to pull up the contaminants. And as you can see, this came out awesome as well. There is some light scratching here and some light yellowing, but I'm not too concerned about that. Our cleaner wax is going to be able to remove that. It'll make it look perfectly white and it'll remove those light scratches. Now after clay bar and getting all the surface contaminants off, all the paint is removed, we can move on to our last step, which is compounding, polishing, and waxing. But instead of doing all three 3 steps. Since our paintwork has been prepped so well, it's so clean, it's so new, I'm just gonna be using a cleaner wax. It'll clean up anything that we missed, it'll polish all the scratches out, and then it's a protectant, so it puts a coat of wax on there to make it shine up real nice. So just get some on your applicator pad, and then you're gonna apply a thin layer in small circles with moderate pressure and cover the entire panel. Any spots that have visible scratches or yellowing, make sure you buff that area a little bit extra to remove it. And after that haze is over, grab a clean microfiber towel like that and just buff off that cleaner wax like you would any other wax. It should come off easily as long as you don't let it completely dry. And using the cleaner wax is saving us a bunch of time and effort. Instead of doing the 3 different steps of compounding, polishing, waxing, we're able to do 1 step and get it all done. Now check this out. Look at how amazing this panel came out. Look at this shine. That is incredible. I am so stoked about this. Also, you remember that little spot over here that was all yellow and scratched up? Completely gone as well. The cleaner wax worked perfectly, and obviously our spray paint, which went here and then down and then up onto this panel, completely gone. Well, actually not completely gone. We want to pay attention to details. Since they went from one panel to another, there is a panel gap here, so we want to look inside, and you can see there is definitely some spray paint in there. I wouldn't use the power washer here. You can, but you just have to be super careful not to get the interior soaked. This is the perfect opportunity to use the solvent, so that's what we're going to use. So just lightly rub the paint thinner into the spray paint until it's completely removed, and then don't forget to add a coat of wax to protect it. Beautiful. So with that paint removed, it's protected with the wax. We are done in here, and check it out. Our door panel is completely done. That's 1 panel down. Now let's finish getting all the spray paint off the rest of these panels. So the recipe for removing spray paint quickly is to power wash the thick parts of the spray paint off the panel, then grab a clay bar, lubricate the panel, and glide the clay bar across the paintwork to remove the remainder of the spray paint like so. And look at all the contaminants we pulled out of that clear coat. And finally, use a cleaner wax and buff it into the paintwork to remove any yellowing and scratches. After it hazes over, use a towel and buff it off to reveal fresh, clean paint. Here's a before and after. And again, look at this transformation. Man, oh man, am I loving this. Look at that. Look at that shine. That's incredible. I love this. The before and after is insane. And we got all the paint off the trunk. The trunk is shining like crazy. We got it off the quarter panel. We got it off our door here. Look at that. You can't even tell that's ever been spray painted or vandalized. We'll touch up that little scratch at the end. Not a big deal. Now let's go and remove this up here. So here's a before and after. Same for the front bumper with the chrome and plastic grille. Before and after. And same for the whole driver's side of the car. Here's a before and after. And finally, here's how the hood looked before and after. Now, one thing I want to mention real quick, this clay bar wasn't as efficient. It wasn't as easy to use on the hood as it was the rest of the car. For whatever reason, maybe the hood gets a lot hotter because the engine's under it and that spray paint cured to the hood more. I don't know what the reason is, but this was a lot more difficult to use. It took a lot longer. So what I did, I went with a more aggressive clay. The clay that comes with the kit is a less aggressive one. And as I said before, we want to go from least aggressive to more aggressive. So as this was taking forever, I was like, well, you know what? Let me go and try this one out. And the key is, because this is more aggressive, what you want to do is you want to spray more lubricant more often and not press as hard. And this worked a lot quicker to get that spray paint off. And that's just something to keep in mind. You have your regular clay and then you have your more aggressive clay, just in case the regular clay is taking too long. I'll link both of these in the description so they're easy for you guys to find. Now that the hood is spray paint free, we have removed about 95% of the spray paint from this car. Look at how amazing this car is turning out. You would never even know it's been vandalized. That is incredible. I love it. So we're not done yet though. We still have other parts of the car that have been spray painted, like this glass right here. So let me show you how to remove spray paint from glass. And removing paint from glass is probably the easiest thing we're gonna be doing today. All you need is either a metal razor like this or a plastic razor. I assume most people have metal razors, so that's what we're gonna use. Now you could either use your detailing spray and spray that down, or you could grab some soapy water. All you need is something to lubricate this, because you don't wanna have your blade directly on the glass without lubrication. And then you're gonna take your straight edge and you want it at an angle. About 45 degrees is fine. You don't want it perpendicular to the glass like that, and you don't want to use the edge of the razor blade because that could cause scratches. So keep it at an angle of about 45 degrees and glide the blade across the surface of the glass like this. And you can see how the razor chips away at the paint on the glass very easily, and you just do this until all the paint is removed. So do this for the entire glass surface to remove the marker and spray paint. Then we could wipe down the surface, and that gives you spray paint free glass like that. Here's a before and after. And that's all it takes. A simple razor blade like this removes the paint from the glass that easily, so let's do the rest. So lubricate the surface with soapy water, glide the razor blade across the surface at a 45-degree angle, wipe it down, and perfect. Now this process also works for stickers and decals that you might find on glass, like this one right here. Just work the razor along the glass, filleting the sticker off the glass. And once most of the sticker is removed, just go over again to remove any glue and residue like so. Then you can wipe it down and boom. That's what I call clean. So that's how you use a razor to clean off the glass, to get the spray paint off, to get stickers off, whatever's on there, just lubricate it. It's nice and easy to use, won't cause damage. And look at that, that looks amazing. Having clean glass like that really makes the car pop. So now let's head to the front of the car and let me show you how to remove spray paint from the headlights. Now unfortunately, the headlights have a lot of spray paint on here and it's really thick. And since it's plastic, we can't use a solvent. Well, you know what? Let me show you what happens if you use a solvent on a headlight lens. Here's an old headlight from my truck. I taped it off so you could see the difference. We're gonna put the solvent on this side. I'm just gonna lightly rub it in, and already it feels all gummy and it's like sticking. Look at that, it's just hazing up. And basically what's happening is the solvent is dissolving the plastic. The same way we're dissolving the paint, it's dissolving the plastic. And I'm just gonna let that sit on there and wait till you see the difference here. Ready? Let's check this out. And there you go. That's exactly why you don't want to use a solvent. No solvent, solvent. I think it speaks for itself. You ruin the plastic, it hazes over, and it even cracks some of the plastic underneath because basically the solvent is dissolving that plastic. So make sure you don't get any solvent on your headlights. And that means to remove the paint from the headlights, we're starting with our pressure washer. And once we remove all the visible paint, let's grab some clay bar and lightly wipe down the plastic lens to remove any small embedded contaminants so that we could have a crystal clear lens. And beautiful, these headlights look perfect. There's no spray paint left on them, and we didn't have to get aggressive. We didn't have to use a polish or a headlight restoration kit, which you could totally use, but since these are pretty new, they have a good UV coating on them. We don't want to mess that up, so I spent the extra time. Even though it took forever, I spent the extra time, and I used just the power washer, and then we went over it with the clay bar real quickly just to get any contaminants off that surface, and these are good to go. Now on the passenger side, we're going to do the same exact thing to remove the spray paint. Power wash the paint off, and then use the clay bar to remove any leftover paint that we might not have gotten off. And this side came out awesome as well. We don't have any spray paint left on here. Now, if your headlights were really bad and the spray paint wasn't coming off with just the power washer, you had to use a restoration kit, you had to use sandpaper, a polish, whatever it is, make sure that you use a headlight coating after you're done. This is going to protect the headlights so that the UV rays don't turn it yellow right away. Your headlights might be crystal clear right now, but you remove that UV protectant layer and in no time it'll turn yellow. But in this case, we just used the pressure washer. Our factory headlight coating is on here, so we don't have to use this. I'm just letting you know just in case you do use something more aggressive. Now with the spray paint removed from the headlights, we have officially removed every single drop of spray paint from this car, and that is awesome. But unfortunately, spraying the car isn't the only way they vandalized it. They also keyed the car. Here's a nice long key mark, which we're gonna hide. Can't make it perfect without respraying the whole panel, but we are gonna use touch-up paint to hide it. And we have a small scratch back here that we need to touch up as well, so let's do it. And the first step to fixing this scratch is to get some isopropyl alcohol on a rag and just clean it off. We don't want any wax residue, any oils, any dirt in here. We want it to be really clean. And with this dry, since the line is pretty straight, what I like to do is I like to grab some tape and just tape off the edge of the scratch, leaving a little bit of white paint in between the scratch and the tape, and just make sure you bend the tape around with the scratch so it looks like it's following the scratch pretty good. So it should look just like that. Next, you want to get the correct touch-up paint for your car. There should be a code on the touch-up paint. That's the paint code of your car, and in this case, that's torch red. That's for my Corvette. We have PW7 here, which is the correct paint code for this Chrysler. And once you know you have the correct paint for your car, get some on your brush and carefully lay it on nice and thick. You don't have to worry about it running because you have the tape there, and you want it thick so it fills the deep scratch. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how we're going to level this once we're done filling the scratch. Now as we let that dry, grab a razor blade like the one we've been using to clean the glass, and just get a piece of tape and bend the tape around the blade like that so it's on the blade. Now repeat this until the whole blade is covered except a little section in the middle like that. Then with the paint dry, let's peel away the tape, revealing this horrible tape line, but don't worry. Next, grab your razor and at an angle, lightly scrape the touch-up paint, working your way down the scratch until you reach the end. Now the idea is the tape is protecting the paint surface, yet the razor is able to level the touch-up paint to blend it in like that. And that's not bad at all, especially for touch-up paint. It's not perfect, but I gotta say, it's pretty good. It's definitely a 3-footer. From 3 feet away, you can't even tell that's there. If you come closer, you could start to see it, but for touching it up, can't complain at all. Way better than what it looked. Now, coming up to the front here, we have a lot worse of a scratch. This is definitely somebody who keyed the car, and it went deep. It went right into the metal, all the way through the base coat. So what do you do for this? Very similar process, but you wanna know what? I'm gonna hold up on this because I said I was gonna do a video on how to remove deep scratches like this by touching them up, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make a video on it for you guys. This is the perfect candidate. Haven't had a car like this yet, and now we do. So I'm gonna do that in a video. Stay tuned for that. For now, look at that. That's really good. You can't even see it. So our scratch is fixed. Let's go to the back and finish up this car by removing the glue residue left over from the stolen badge. And there are a couple different ways that we could remove this, but I've been dying to try this out. It's a pinstripe remover. It goes right in a drill. Then just tighten it down like that. Get a little bit of soapy water for some lubricant so we don't scratch anything. And then you let the drill do all the work. I have this drill set at full speed so you can see the adhesive gets removed, but yet the tool is soft enough so it doesn't damage the paint. So work your way across the adhesive to remove it and do the same exact thing on the other side as well. And then just wipe off the remaining residue with the towel, just like that. Now, if you wanted, you could totally put a new logo there, but this looks really nice without it. But we are definitely missing something. Perfect. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think Susan's looking real sharp with that badge removed, and I like it, so we're gonna keep it that way. And with that, we have completely removed all the paint from this car and restored the exterior. And just take a look at her. The transformation is amazing. It's so rewarding to be able to bring a car back to its former glory. Something as simple as spray paint vandalism totaled this car out, and we were able to pick this up for a fraction of what a clean one would cost. So there you go, that is how you remove spray paint from your car, and I'll be sure to link all the tools and products I used in this video, as well as the app that I used to buy this car, in the description below. That way you could easily find it and get the same results. Now, time is of the essence. Once you find spray paint on your car, it's important that you get to it as quickly as possible. I'd start out with the solvent. If the solvent doesn't work efficiently, you saw the pressure washer worked great, and then follow that up with some clay bar and then the cleaner wax, and you're gonna get amazing results like this. So hopefully the video was helpful. If it was, remember to give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider hitting that subscribe button because we have more awesome videos on the way with this car. And then at the end of the series, one of you guys will own this car, and the purchase price will go straight to charity, so stay tuned.